Alright, so this is Black-White Death Shadow. Shadow, for those not super familiar, is this lovely card here. It gets -X, where X is your life total. It's a 13/13 for 1 mana, so you have to be at 12 or less life to put this card into play. And then we utilize things like Thoughtseize, Adanto Vanguard, Bolt lands, Shock lands to hammer our life total down, so that way we can play this. We get a smattering of interaction in our discard spells, Spellbinder, and then Skyclave Apparition to impact the board. And then I've got Ranger of Eos here at the top end of the curve, so something to note is there is, I think it's called Ranger Captain of Eos or whatnot, as a 3-drop, and I think I prefer actual factual Ranger of Eos in this deck as opposed to that 3-mana alternative that we got in Jumpstart Historic Rising. This one generates more value. The purpose of this card is to basically be a 3-for-1. We want a threat that draws multiple more threats, and I think this serves a good purpose of that. Yeah, I don't think I want Mikaeus in this deck, because this deck's not really a go-wide deck. In fact, speaking of go-wide decks, I do think that this deck is probably going to struggle a bit with the go-wide decks in the format, but I also don't know that you can really fix that without rebuilding it. You know, traditionally speaking, that's an archetype that Shadow has always struggled with, even in Modern as well. I imagine this deck's probably decent into control and combos, so let's see if the theory craft works out in practice here this morning as we jump on into Historic Ranked and jam some games. Thanks for the 3/4 of a year, Sherwood. Good morning, good morning. And then this almost looked like a Mullen at a glance, but we've got the Egdom's Awakening here. You keep this for sure in the dark. I think I'm bottoming the Giant Killer. We could technically fish it back up with this. The hand's actually like really good. We get to shock, play Knight, and then on 2 we get to play Knight, bolt ourselves Thoughtseize, put counters on both our Knights. Just a really, really strong start here. I think I give them a card for the sake of getting my counters here. Chuki, thank you for the very generous tier 3 and for the 25 months. Welcome back. I appreciate you keeping me around. Magic fucking sucks, chat. Why do we even play this game? Yo, oh, Thoughtseize bugs alive and well. I'm gonna offer a trade of Knight for a Sentinel here. Because if they don't take the trade, we get to put 2 counters on these. And if they do take the trade, then I get to Inquisition without them drawing a card. I think I still Inquisition here. Ah! The old main deck Containment Priest. A sure sign of a healthy format. Going on, Dig? Thanks for the 3.5 years. Potty trading is coming along just fine. 42 months is a while. Come on, hit me. Oh, yeah, you know, just what I like, opponent. Hit me, baby, one more time. Alright, so we'll bolt this in. So we can threaten to pump. Oh, I guess we're dead to a plains with this line. Which is awkward. Cheetos. Thank you for the... Well, opponent missed lethal, so thank you, opponent, for missing lethal. Thank you for the very generous tier 2 and for the year and a half. Welcome back. Sherwood, thanks for the sub-gifty. So for reference, firing up Faceless Haven plus these was an attack for lethal on the opponent's part. Opponent was seeking value, not wins. Yeah, something like that. I think we're probably still dead here. The fact that they immediately peeled a that 2-drop was real bad for us. Bib, your memory lapses too frequently, but I suppose you're cool. Have a great stream. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, we're just dead here. Like I said, I expect these creature matchups to be bad. This one might be a quick one and out this morning. We'll see. I have a lot of removal spells in the sideboard that can help a touch. I'd rather have Spellbinder than Vanguard. Probably Savior than Vanguard too, honestly. Favorite board games? There's so many of them. This tweet has a lot of my favorites in it. Good morning good morning to California. If you're in California, make sure you vote in the recall election. Make sure you vote no. For people that don't follow specifically California politics, the California recall process might be the largest pile of political bullshit in the United States, which is really saying something considering how messed up so much of the rest of our country's systems are. And if you're not familiar, how the recall process works is, if they don't have 50% of the people vote no to not recall and keep their governor, the person who gets the most votes among the yeses becomes governor. So if 49% of people vote no and 51% vote yes, and then 18% of the 51% people vote for one person, that's the most. The person with the 18% of the vote becomes governor, and the 49% of the people that voted to keep the current governor, they don't get to pick. It is actually the worst possible system anybody could have thought up at any point. Technically, you could have even less than a sixth, so long as you have the most votes among the people that voted yes to recall. It's wild. Hide, thanks for the 16 months. Welcome back. I'm gonna be conservative with my Bolt lands here. They're an aggro deck that's gonna beat me down. So Kirk Governor gets the boot almost guaranteed. It depends. California is relatively democratic in terms of makeup. This card is so good. The good news is we could potentially chop it down next turn if they keep stacking it up. Thanks, Pelly. Yeah, I had been avoiding posting my stuff there because I didn't feel like I had too good of a grasp on the game, but I feel like we fit a good stride to understand what's going on at this point. Lemuse, thanks for the 7 months. Welcome back. I mean, that's just how, for people saying California is democratic in the cities and the rural areas are red, that's how the United States works. That's not just how California works. Places where people live vote Democrat. Generally speaking. Does not keeping the current governor necessarily mean switching to Republicans? Yes. Because a majority of Democrats will vote no. So that means you'd have to have more Democrats voting yes than the Republicans had vote yes. Which is just incredibly unlikely. Yeah, not guaranteed, but highly probabilistic. That was a good draw after they hit me for 4. This gives double strike, right? That also just doesn't really matter at the moment, because I can just diddle this. And I'm dead relatively quickly here. The correct way to implement a recall system that's not all crazy sorts of messed up would be you do one ballot to say yes or no, do you want to keep the current person? And then if they vote no, if they want to vote yes to recall the current person, then you have an actual normal election instead of the messed up whoever filled in the... Yeah, you do a recall ballot and then a separate vote for governor ballot. Is how it would happen in a reasonable place. I think I'm just gonna Skyclave the Spellbinder and then crack them for 9 here. If they take this hit, the shadow is then an abyss that makes them sacrifice something every turn, basically. I think I'm happy with how we boarded. Yeah. When you refer to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Governor, as a Republican, you have to give the context of, like, go read his Twitter responses and social media choices in terms of, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a Republican from a bygone era now where Republicans and Democrats were much closer, and he's a very reasonable human being from the outside looking in terms of his policies. Like, if you look at his responses to things, like, he wouldn't be a Republican by today's standards in the post-Trump era. You go look at his response to COVID, encouraging people to wear masks and stuff like that. Like, everything I've seen out of him on social media to this point in terms of pandemic response has been excellent. Yeah. He's not a pander to QAnon anti-vax nonsense type thing. Hit me, baby. Oh, yeah. You know just what I like, opponent. Hey, Duress. Well, thanks for the tier 2. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Okay, so Judge, if I put these here, both of these survive, right? And actually, if I do this, they just die on the backswing, correct? Because I take 8 down to 3, and then these are 10s. Opponent's about to learn a very valuable lesson about how Death Shadow works. Chat, damage doesn't kill creatures, state-based actions kill creatures. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, for the newer Magic players in the audience, what happens there is the Death Shadow gets 3 damage marked on it, but then when the game rules go to say, hey, should creatures die from having lethal damage on them, Death Shadow is now a 10/10 with 3 damage marked on it. Because my life total changes, and then Death Shadow is bigger when damage goes to get checked if it's lethal. So for people, the more nuance in there, and this applies to more than just damage too, is things that deal damage don't actually kill things directly. Every time priority is passed, state-based actions are checked, and a state-based action in Magic is saying, hey, does this creature have lethal damage on it? If yes, then it goes to the graveyard. Star Killers, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this morning. Played Moto for the first time in 7 years yesterday. Really made me appreciate Arena. Yep. Yep. Nothing quite makes you appreciate the auto tapper, like spending some time playing Magic online. Like, the auto tapper has its faults, don't get me wrong. But like, it's really good, all things considered. It's the same. Thanks for the follow. Good morning. Happy Friday, folks. We're gonna play some Historic for a few hours. The full Innistrad spoiler is supposed to be up, I believe, in about 2-ish hours. So we're not going to do it right away, but shortly after it goes up, we're going to do a set review here on stream. Hey chat, you know how you could tell our opponent was going to be playing Jeskai Control? They have a number next to their rank. That's how you can tell. I don't want to pump a Knight here because they could have a Helix, then obviously this feels bad when they have Memory Lapse, so it's kind of a fucked if you do, fucked if you don't type situation. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I think I'm gonna draw this spell again. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I saw a thread that was actually a pretty good thread asking about why is Memory Lapse good in Historic today when it's a card that wasn't, like, this is an old Magic card that wasn't very good or popular when it was legal previously. And there's 2 reasons Memory Lapse is so good in Historic compared to when it existed in Magic previously. The first is that there aren't other, well, so that's part of it. So counter spells, actual factual counter spell was always legal alongside memory lapse is definitely true. Another part of it is though, yeah, not only planeswalkers, but also things like Torrential Gearhulk and Magma Opus, right? Like, if you look at the control decks of old, these were decks that they needed to one-for-one things and actually answer your stuff. They didn't have these huge card advantage engines in them, right? Whereas, like, Memory Lapse, when you have a Teferi or a Shark Typhoon, or you're just buying time for a Gearhulk, you leverage the tempo aspect of this card really well because you're accruing massive amounts of card advantage during the time you're buying. No, that's just not true, Pawaga. There just weren't, like, saying that, like, we just weren't as good at deck building back then, it just couldn't be further from the truth. The context of, like, what's going on in Magic formats today is so much more relevant. Alright, so they're gonna steal a Knight of the Ebon Legion here? Or they're just drawing cards. Okay, sure. By the way, Triumphant Adventurer is in here, so we can go into the Tomb of Annihilation. It makes both players lose life and stuff. It's also a Death Touch Dorko for blocking in the creature matchups, which is nice. Obviously not playing Shadow out while at 16 life. Alright, show me Anger of the Gods. Show me Wrath of God. Hashtag sometimes lucky. Bring in a Duress, a Noxious Grasp, and a Fracture. Selfless Savior. Gonna cut these Skyclave Apparitions. We don't board too much of this matchup because I think our main deck is pretty well set up for it. I'll swap out this Faerie Guidemother for a second Giant Killer so we have ways to kill Torrential Gearhulk. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they messed up there, to be fair. They definitely should have just gained control of a Knight, I think. Worth keeping Skyclave to Azcanta? No, I think that's too narrow. Rogue Ninja, thanks for the sub-gifty. I appreciate the support. Move that sub-alert up over the NordVPN logo. Chat, I'm so excited. I've got folks working on new stream overlay stuff for me. I think it's gonna be pretty great when they're all done. We're gonna do some rebranding on the channel. So do I Elite Spellbinder? I think I'm supposed to Spellbinder while they're tapped low here, so that way I can play my one good, big, and more expensive spell when they don't have counter magic up. It also lets me know to sequence the rest of these cards. I think Arclight Phoenix is. I think Arclight Phoenix is super reasonable. Teferi's a lot more reasonable at 7 mana. Thank God. Dragon Rage Chandler is a sweet addition inside of Phoenix, too. So they'll stay at 19. Spellbinder will die. Hit him with the old oops. It's the meta oops, chat. Wow, they took my shadow. That's sad. I was hoping they'd take the Vanguard. Rebranding. Well, it's not like we're still gonna be Hoaglandia. We're just gonna like add some consistency. Like for example, my current sub badges and my alerts and my and like the bit badges were all done by different people. They're gonna have kind of the same flavor and idea with the new ones, but they're gonna have a little more consistency in their design. Yeah, creature lands, chip. She's gonna alienate your boomer audience. Maybe. I'm keeping the same logo. So I'm gonna keep, I'm pretty happy with the Jester that I have. So the Jester's gonna be sticking around. So I don't have lethal next turn if I attack with this, so I think we're just supposed to play this, because it means we could have lethal next turn, right? Yeah, because Jeffrey's coming down, right? Maybe I'm supposed to play a giant killer here too, just as a 1/1/2 since I have 2 of them. My body is ready to pay 8 life for this Death Shadow to become a 10/10, so it's lethal, and then get Lightning Helixed. Hey Jeff, for my new job working for the state of Wisconsin as a contractor for literally double what they pay teachers here. Congrats on your new gig. I'll never forget. So for people that aren't familiar with my background, I have an undergraduate degree in mathematics as well as a graduate degree. And I had an education minor during undergrad. And I remember one of the classes, like doing the intro, the teacher asked people why they wanted to go into math education. And someone answered they wanted to make money. And the teacher actually laughed and said, computer science is down the hall. You might want to change majors. It's just like, well, it's funny because it's sad. Otts, thanks for the 22 months. Welcome back. I appreciate it. Yeah, I probably should have played a 1/2 out in the event that they did this and down tick, because now I have to send a 3 at this, which is big sad. El Jefe Grande, thank you for the 11 months. Welcome back. Yeah, because this means I have lethal a turn slower now because of my improper sequencing the previous turn.
That didn't go according to plan.
Let's start here. Okay, so they have a Gear Hulk. Their 2 best cards here are Magma Opus, Gear Hulk together, because they could discard the Magma Opus and then use the treasure to cast the Gear Hulk and flash back the Magma Opus. Your advisor told you mechanical engineering and English make the same amount after college. Man, I hope that person lost their job at some point. playing this out because I want to have lethal through a piece of spot removal. Alright. I mean, that game, like I said during the deck tech, our games are kind of playing out very similar to what I expected, right? Like, tougher matchups into the creature matchups, okay against control. So I think if you're someone that doesn't want to just punch your Jeskai matchup, this is a fine choice. Ooh. Thoughtseize was on the stack, Shep. Stephen Paddingale, thanks for the follow. You see, chat, we let on the Concealed Courtyard to let them know that we didn't just join the wrong queue. We have historic cards in our deck. We chose to play this intentionally. Looks like some Phoenix here. Yeah, pay teachers more. You mean threaten teachers with bodily harm for them asking their students to wear masks? That's what's been happening in parts of the United States. All right, I think it's just iteration going here. Keep them from getting the card selection with that. Go ahead. Their best draw here is a 1-mana instant or sorcery, so they can Stormwing. You say is my pet card in historic? I mean, definitely Restoration Angel, but it's just not very good. Or my thoughts on Biden's new vaccine mandates? I think they don't go far enough. There is legal precedent for the state to enforce mandatory vaccinations based on a Supreme Court case in 1905. And I think we should be requiring people to get vaccinated or fining or jailing them. I'm gonna take a giant killer here and probably Death Shadow. I think they're a good start. You're correct. The case in 1905 was the case for states requiring mandatory vaccination, not the Fed. 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. I think at a minimum, if we're not going to require mandatory vaccinations, people who are unvaccinated should have to assume legal liability for anyone they get sick with COVID that can be traced back to them with contact tracing. We should make it incredibly expensive and uncomfortable to willfully spread COVID because you're ignorant. I think I just go super wider. I think the odds of us, famous last words, but I think the odds we die from 15 here are super low. And I think I just go like Knight, because they're going to get bigger, and then like play Adventurer. I could like play single Knight, hold up Chop Down, but I think I want to just try and get him dead. Do legal precedents go that far back? They go back to the United States Constitution. Anti-vaxxers and conservatives fucking love citing what our founding fathers did and people from 200 plus years ago. In a perfect world, no. I think, you know, stuff from that long ago just wouldn't matter. They could get a third Phoenix and kill us here, huh? We could get a third Phoenix here. All right, no third bird. Good beats. Alright, so we do this, we do this. They're actually dead without the land draw, right? Because this would have been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, because this attacks for 2. Davriel's Withering. Excellent answer to Phoenix for our deck. Perpetually -1, -2. Containment Priest is decent here. Vanishing Verse is good. Dire Tactics is probably worth bringing in. What do we want to trim? I don't think I want the protection spells. Giant Killer seems fine to fish up with this. This is largely here to generate card advantage with Death Shadows and Knights of the Ebon Legion, so like don't be afraid to like trim down on your utility cards on it if the utility cards aren't good. Triumphant Adventurer doesn't really block meaningfully in this matchup, so I think it comes out. Trim some discard spells so we have more cards to play to the board. That seems fine. Triumphant Adventurer is primarily for Tomb of Annihilation, but it's also just flexible, right? So, like, it's Tomb of Annihilation when you need to hammer your own life total, but it's, like, also Pandelver or Mad Mage when you want to generate card advantage and gain some life back. I think my favorite response to the COVID vaccine, you could still get COVID on occasion, so it's not worth doing, is that 100% of concussions in the NFL occur to people who are wearing helmets. So obviously helmets don't work and we shouldn't use them as a safety precaution. Is this keepable? We mulligan that. Yeah, this is much better. Yeah, something like 60% of deaths in car accidents occur to people who are wearing seatbelts. There could be merit to keeping more removal spells here, but I like my threats as well. We have Inquisition to be able to tag a Sprite Dragon here before it happens, which is nice. Okay, and then we have Vanishing Verse to deal with this. Yeah, I just want more card advantage. I don't think the flavor text on Ranger Captain of making your opponent not cast spells for a turn is very good. So I'd rather just draw 2 cards with my card advantage rather than drawing 1. Just gonna go ahead and get rid of this now before they can surveil more with it. Vanishing Verse, same as the first, a little bit louder and a whole lot worse. I'm gonna do this now just so they can't, like, land spell pierce me. Hit me, baby. Thanks, opponent. I appreciate you. This Death Shadow, not possible without my opponent's Phoenix. For reference, if you haven't played against Shadow before, it's generally correct to wait to kill them in one big burst. Oh, this is only a little baby 2/2 for the time being, so if they find a Unholy Heat or a Pillar, they could kill it. Cassius, thanks for the 23 months. God, Expressive Iteration is so good. One of the kind of knee-jerky things you need to break yourself of when you're playing against these decks is it's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking like, oh, my opponent got so lucky, but like they didn't get lucky. Their deck just sees way more cards than our deck, right? Like my opponent has 37 cards left in their deck right now. My deck has 49 cards, and they've bottomed cards too, right? So my opponent has seen twice as many cards as I have this game. So the odds of them finding their cards that are good is just so much higher. What's going on, Rogue Bagel and Zeth? Appreciate the follows. Please attack. Including bottom cards? No, I was including bottom cards. So they've bottomed, what, 3 cards here, 2 cards. They've seen, oh yeah, I guess it is almost 3 actually, right? Rank iteration all time for card draw, super high. It sees playing literally every format. Tapped land to Sedge. Your wife is scheduled to be induced on the 27th, and you're freaking out. Be ready before the 27th in case it comes early. So if they hit me down to 7, I have 2 6/6s, and then I can't quite force a chump block yet, which is sad. It could just be dead next turn. Needed our 4th land to touch sooner so we could giant killer their first Dorko. Yeah, I can't imagine not playing Stormwing in the opponent's archetype. It's very, very good. You can find the deck list on your screen via the Untapped widget. You can also type !deck in chat to get a direct link to the deck list. So I'm not going to go ahead and activate here, because if I activate and then they Unholy Heat, we end up big sad. And since I drew this Vanishing Verse, I can just spend my mana on that for the turn. Let their scry happen, and then we'll get rid of it. I want this giant killer to hedge a second Stormwing. I kind of want Knight. Definitely want a Knight. I kind of just want two of them. Because I have the Hive here too. If they have second Stormwing, I get pretty sad that I didn't get a giant killer though. Do I bolt myself to bolt them? What are the odds I die from 13? Low-ish? So this is, consider this as 6. They would need to have a Phoenix plus 4 spells. Or they need to have double Phoenix. I don't have any in the bin right now. Yeah, I think putting them to 11 is worthwhile. Yeah, maybe a close game. Yeah, we're dead to double Phoenix, but that's what it is. They haven't instantly been to Phoenix. What is this feeling? Is it hope? Do I have hope, chat? What is this feeling? Do 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 do. Okay. They could still get there. This Dragon Rage Chandler surveils a bunch. 8, 9. Pillar of Flame is lethal. I be not seen. Thanks for the 1.5 years. Welcome back. Appreciate it. They have the pillar chat. Big Sag. Big Sag. There's a pillar coming my way. All right. So you're saying, oh, they're out of red mana. You're out of red mana, fam. If they have an opt and they've been a Phoenix, this has to attack. They're dead. Are you dead yet? Did we dodge it, Chad? I think we dodged. Noise, noise. Solid. I hope you all appreciate my professionalism during this set in dodging our bad matchups. We very skillfully dodge the creature decks we don't want to play against. Does it keep? You mean the Jeskai players skillfully ran them off the ladder? Yeah, that's probably more accurate. Alright, and we'll cast Death Shadow on one. And I do think this matchup is challenging. We got very lucky. We played this matchup earlier, and our opponent didn't know how Death Shadow works, so we won. I just take Giant Killer. I think I just take Giant Killer. Hey, Anatanis, thanks for subbing 6 months in advance. I appreciate the vote of confidence. I plan to be here. Thanks for keeping me around. Twin to win. Thanks for the almost 3 years. Alright, so let's say they attack with this. I go to 5 or 15. I then bolt to 12 and can play this. I think that's fine. Come on, hit me, dealer. Do they have a second Giant Killer in their main deck is a question. They did. It's kind of a gamble. Okay, yeah, they do. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Draw some friends. So kind of that increased card selection on display here. They found only one thing. We found two, so we're up a little bit here. Rally up. I just go to 5 here. I want to rock. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Thanks for the 17 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. I'll play this one tapped. We're going to activate Hive of the Eye Tyrant at some point here. And I remember with their Thalia, if they want to chop down, it's going to cost them 4 next turn. If you sack Ranger in response to Gearhulk to stop the card, yes, that is correct. Because Gearhulk casts the spell from the bin. It does do that, which is nice. They do have the 5th land tier, so they get to chop down a shadow and then also play the human out. Shadow Spear. That could be okay. I don't know. Lifelink's awkward with Death Shadow, right? Isn't necessarily stellar. Unite content is fire. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Engineer. I'm having a lot of fun making it. Looking forward to them fleshing that game out more with more characters. What's going on, Dougal? Well, we'll be here still if your schedule ever changes back up again. I appreciate the 27 months. Hope Landy's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, unfortunately, they can end step, Diddle a Shadow, untap, fire up Faceless Haven, attack, Diddle a Shadow. Am I dead? I think I might be dead, actually. Yeah, we are, right? Because I tap this, and then I have 3 blockers, and I take 2. Yeah, we're dead on board. Thanks for the follow, Ducks. So, similar to how we boarded last time in this matchup, we're going to cut our discard spells and these that don't attack in well. We're just going to bring in a bunch of spot removals. So we've got Davriel's Witherings, a Grasp, some Vanishing Verses, and a Dire Tactics. Got the Inquisitions in. I think is fine. Those are not enough mana for the Eye Tyrant. It takes 4 to activate this. So you need 5 to activate this and then do something with it. My wife doesn't, I forgot to tell my wife that with the kids not being home, I've disabled the RTX voice. So over the summer, she's gotten used to being able to just like do stuff around the house and not care about it while I'm streaming. But there was, her office is directly above mine and she was vacuuming. So apologies for that. I will have to communicate that to her after today. So I don't have a Death Shadow in sight, so I think we're actually heading into the Pandelver here rather than the Tome of Annihilation. I guess we're on the play, and maybe with the removal spells we could be more aggressive, because like getting to a 4/4 is pretty good here. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quickly. So, in theory, Bulb, they should be able to make new characters for Pokemon Unite faster than League of Legends scaled up their roster, because Pokemon has a bunch of pre-built characters, right? So like it's not like they have to create champion designs and stuff. Thank you, lovely wife. Curly Dactyl in chat is my wife for those that are new. She's great. Yeah, backlog of characters and abilities. I mean, not only are, like, the foundation for the models already done, but, like, the foundation of the design work of what do these things do mechanically and what are we adapting is done. Is also a big deal. It was only over the microphone for a very brief moment before I tapped my mute key. The briefest of moments. Yeah, I agree, Danny. You know, honestly, I think we just get aggressive here, right? Just, like, give this flying. So, next turn when this attacks, it comes with the 4/4, which is great. They should be pretty dead here with the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Yeah. even before you consider that we're about to get a 4/4. So that was the easy game. That was the game where we were on the plate. Now we have to try and win one on the draw. Okay, this has Davriel's Withering and an Inquisition, and it has a Shadow for when they beat us down a little bit. No 1-drops, good for us. Huh? I think I'm okay with them taking most of the cards out of my hand, and I have Withering to kill this. I think I'm gonna take the Decree here. I'd like to play my Knight out next turn. Well, shit. Nerf Blaster, thanks for the 19 months. Good morning. Magic. Fun and interactive. I don't have any answers to that, right? Oh, we have 4 Skyclave Apparitions. We're not just cold to it, but it's still not great for us. Why didn't you Inquisition that one? Asking the real questions. Showtime! Thanks for the 5 months. Good morning, good morning. What was our old saying? Sometimes your Thoughtseize would have been better off as Thought Scour. It is a human, yeah. And now we play the waiting game. Hey, look, Chad, it's a human. I might want to save this one for Brassy. Oh, this is pro multicolored, right? Yikes. Mistakes were made. So, Ranger of Eos, excellent draw at any point here, because we have plenty of mana. Skyclave, also a great draw, because lets us break this board stall. Until then, we chillin'. How about more black removal? Yep. The scary part here is we know the opponent has 5 or 6 spells in hand because they're not making land drops. Hexapelagic Squid. Thank you for the 15 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. Well, I mean, them pumping it to 4, they have like a bunch of Dauntless Bodyguards on it, right? This is a well-protected Apostle, chat. I could play this out to tap something, but I think I'd rather wait for them to like play something out for me to kill. This can answer Brassy. Do I want to do this now so I can cast it next turn? Obviously, we let this resolve because I can cast any of these. But there's a question of, do I want to Giant Killer the Spellbinder, or do I want to save it to tap the Brassy? I think I just want to do it now, probably, so I can cast it next turn. I definitely want to do it now because it costs 5. Oh, the Grasp gets Brassy. Good call. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely right. In my head, I didn't have a removal spell that killed Brassy, but you're right. We drew this one. I mean, it's a cleric, right? So technically, by calling it a priest, you're, like, technically correct. Pushes up glasses, of course I was. God bless. Alright, so this is waiting for the Lieutenant. We're gonna Dire Tactics, the Elite Spellbinder, I think. We could see Portable Hole hit this Giant Killer, because it diddles the Apostle, which lets us break the board stall. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I think I want to hold on to Withering because it's resource efficient. The 1 mana efficiency on this could be important down the line. We get a little punished if they draw like another Rally the Ranks, but all right, that's definitely a spell at this point, right? Thanks, Stinson. Making my unique comment of the day. Hashtag metrics. So we are now 19 cards into my deck without drawing a copy of Ranger or Skyclave Apparition. Protection is an incredibly dumb and toxic mechanic, and it was a huge, huge, awful mistake that they brought it back. Ring-a-ding-ding. This is indestructible, so I'm just gonna go ahead and scry one with it. Are we thinking of attacking me? These are indestructible. Braveheart Lion, thank you for the 21 months. Welcome back. Appreciate the support. Peekaboo, I see you. Yeah, chop down one of my friends here. Dan Delicious, thank you for the brand new Prime. There's a ton of great people you can support with that every month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending it this way this month. Do I hit them with an angel to grow my knights? I think so. I have like 2 removal spells up in case they get aggressive. And like taking some damage so I can play Death Shadow out isn't the worst thing in the world. MTG Master J, thanks for your 11 months. I appreciate it. They're in a control position with no aggro left. I mean, they didn't really change their deck that much here, right? Well, shit. I think I need to kill this with the Withering. That's a Vanishing Verse. That's pretty good. Lets me diddle their giant killer. So they can't tap my blockers. Is Brawl matchmaking still messed up? I mean, it's only been broken for 17 days with no comment on any official any official communication channel. Alright, so what happens? I attack with this. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attackers. I can block 4. I take 3. That's 9, 12. I think we keep hitting with this angel. Eventually, you will learn to nap in short bursts, Zentoth. It gets easier, I promise. They also start sleeping longer, which helps. So this says whenever a creature with a 1/1 counter on it dies, you get a 2/2. So we're gonna need to kill this before we trade anything in combat here. And see how aggressive they want to get this turn. They might just like turn sideways. which I think is good for us with this Egdoms. Them doing nothing is definitely good for us. Morning Lyrics. Because now these knights are bigger than their 4/3s. Koi Cricket, thanks for the 5 months. It's been a long march. Okay. This game's been kinda impressive for our deck. The Bolt Land really, Emeria's call, really punching the clock and going to work here. We can activate Hive with the Eye Tyrant as a blocker here too. Yeah, they're still just chilling. I'm not gonna get too crazy. I'm just gonna attack with this again. But this game should be done at this point. Even without this, I think we're pretty well set, and this should lock it up. Flying is busted. You're not wrong. Is Brave the elements in this format? It's not, thankfully.
I believe in you.
Okay, that buys him a turn, right? Oh, if I hadn't given them this, would they have died? They're still dead, right? Yeah, we're good. Okay. And even if they weren't dead there, right? Like the Egdoms was gonna get back Skyclave and the Adventurer. Sweet. This is a solid set. So if you haven't seen this deck before, this is one of the many historic decks you will find up on my website. This is in the high potential category because while it hasn't put up any big finishes at tournaments for historic yet, it's felt really competitive every time we've played it. There weren't really any new cards from Jumpstart Historic Horizons that I included here today other than Davriel's Withering here in the sideboard. I think I was pretty happy with the configuration. I think those games, especially against the white aggro deck, highlighted Ranger of Eos being key in a couple of spots compared to the Ranger Captain. Like, we're playing this card in this deck to really generate card advantage, and I think getting that additional threat is more powerful than the utility of making things not be able to cast spells for a turn. The other card that kind of stands out from this set, this is a card I hadn't played a ton with. We'd only played one previous set with this. And after playing that set through, I feel like this is definitely a card that's like earned its slot in the deck. I think these self-enabling venture cards, they can continue doing it on their own, are undervalued by a lot of people. And like the Tomb of Annihilation just like does what we want to do in this deck in a lot of situations. And it also just has utility, right? Like when we're not being aggressive, it's basically a creature that doubles as a removal spell as a 1/1 with Death Touch. And it can provide us a little bit of utility when we need to play defense as well, scrying, making tokens and stuff like that if we're not ready to hammer ourselves down. All right.